Welcome to Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Jadil Kabira. Our conversation for today is Gachagua being sidelined by President William Ruto? Is there a Cold War happening within the executive? These are our usual political conversations that are simple, truthful. Prof puts them across in a hard-hitting way. How are you?
Wonderful.
You've had the question, is Gachagua being sidelined? You know, Ruto gave this executive order on Monday, giving Mudavadi, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, the role of executing and looking into development agendas of the government. Some say this is a role that should have gone to the deputy, which is Rigathi Gachagua, because this role involves transversing through the country, opening projects, overseeing projects, and this is going to become quite popular. Mudavadi, is this a sign of something within the executive?
I very much doubt Ruto will be harassed by Uhuru if he was harassed, and he said as much. And then he proceeds to harass Gachagua. So I'm not buying what people are saying that Ruto will end up harassing Gachagua. One way of harassing him, of course, is to elevate anybody else beyond him, or to put him in competition with Mudavadi, for example. I doubt that is the case. So I don't think Gachagua's position is in any danger.
When you say elevating, don't you think Mudavadi has been elevated, because this is a big role? It is clearly a big role.
Let me tell you this. What is there is an absurdity. A constitutional absurdity. What we have is an awkward situation. What we have is a clumsy situation. It's not a question of Mudavadi being up or Gachagua going down or competing. No, it's just awkward. We witnessed some competition between Raila and Kalonzo Musyoka in the coalition government, Nusu Mkate government, the Accord, National Accord government, 2008. Raila was the prime minister, Kalonzo Musyoka was the vice president. There was some sort of competition. I remember head of the public service, Manyora, clarifying. But that was constitutional. But this is awkward. It is outright unconstitutional.
So
it's awkward.
Well, what do you make of this sort of supremacy battle between Mudavadi and Rigathi Gachagua? Remember, Mudavadi was speaking and he said this is purely Ruto's government. Gachagua, on the other hand, goes to an interview and says this is our government, Ruto and I. Do you see something happening?
No, what is just is awkward. And in the fullness of time, allow me again to go back to that.
To 2022.
Yeah, in the fullness of time, what I'm saying will come to light. Let me explain. The executive is made up of the presidency and cabinet. In other words, the president, his deputy, and the cabinet secretaries or ministers. So if you are looking at it in terms of layers, there are two layers of the executive. There is the presidency as one layer, the subset of the executive, which is the president and his deputy. Below them, there is a cabinet made up of the ministers or cabinet secretaries. Together, they constitute the executive. Now, what the president has tried to do is to create a layer in between the two layers and put there the office of prime minister. You can call it what you call it, chief secretary. That is clearly not in the constitution. You may want to say it's unconstitutional, or you might want to say it's not in the constitution. Lawyers will have the interpretation. That is what now creates the mess we are in. Because, let's say, okay, we can allow it. We can forgive you for creating an office for Mudavadi that hangs in between the cabinet and the executive. Let's allow it.
And the presidency.
Yeah, let's allow you. It's unconstitutional, it's awkward, but let's allow it. But why are you making it even more laughable, more ridiculous, more awkward? By removing the executive, splitting the executive, and bring Gachagua down here to share responsibilities of government with Mudavadi. That's not even more awkward. It's even comical. Because if Mudavadi is created to help the executive, he's supposed to be helping Gachagua and Ruto.
The presidency.
The presidency. You cannot split government and say part of it by Mudavadi, part of it by Gachagua. How?
This is
Mudavadi is supposed, awkward as it is, and constitutional as it is, as unprovided for as it is, even if we allow it, that office of Mudavadi, that amorphous office, I might call it, can only help the presidency. not the president, the presidency. So you can't cut off Gachagua, put him down here and say he's in competition with Mudavadi. How?
And that's why I'm asking, what does this mean for Gachagua himself? Because in our previous video you said
early enough,
all powerful. Ruto is all
it
powerful.
must be. Let me tell you this. We lived with these shenanigans of Ruto and Uhuru for 4 or 5 years, and we have paid for it. There's a lot of things we ought to have done as a country. We didn't do. And the elections have gone the way they have gone. Partly because of the mess we are. I would urge Gachagua, who is my friend. I would urge Rig G. He calls himself as he was having something behind. Rig G.
Yeah.
Man Rig G. I would urge him to sit with the president and sort this thing out. Let him get annoyed if he wants. Let the president get annoyed if he wants. But tell him I'm not going to be part of such an arrangement. It's not good for the country. You are setting bad precedents. Uhuru messed by tossing around the deputy president. Of course, not as much as we want to be told.
Yeah.
Ruto is introducing more mess by creating some awkward arrangement, some amorphous office of chief.
Prime.
I was part of the people, of course, as a consultant, who created for Azimio chief minister position. It was called chief minister, I think.
Yeah.
And this is how I looked at it myself. I looked at the constitution, the chapter on the executive, functions of the president and so on and so forth. There is a provision, there is an article there that says the president may assign special duties or duties, extra duties, whatever the language, to a minister with approval of parliament.
Okay.
Now, what Ruto needed to do is to have a Matiangi. So Mudavadi should first and foremost have become a cabinet secretary.
Okay.
Elevated to the level of Matiangi. And then you move to parliament and give him extra responsibilities. Simple, smooth, constitutional. So Matiangi was calling meetings. 6 o'clock ministers were there. Because through that executive order, the president gave him the function of coordinating, you know, and chairing subcommittees of cabinet subcommittees. It is in order. But he was first and foremost a cabinet secretary. The constitution has no role for somebody who is neither the presidency nor a cabinet secretary, hanging in between there. It's awkward.
You said it looks bad for the country, for Rigathi. You should say that. But
Rigathi should tell the president, I'm not going to be put in competition with...
How bad does it look for the deputy president if it looks bad for the country in itself?
It must look bad for the deputy president. He should not humiliate. And this overpraising the president, oh, President Ruto. No, stop doing that. For heaven's sake, you are a man in your own right, Rigathi Gachagua. Tell the president you are not going to be part of that mess. Because indeed it's a mess. And we are setting something bad for the country. Uhuru started it. By tossing your deputies neither here nor there. Unasema deputy aende kutangatanga. And then for 4 years, the president is speaking this, the deputy is speaking this. The deputies at one point part of government, against the government, very awkward situations. And now we have this one now Ruto is creating. You don't know who what the next person will do.
I want to do, your opinion has always been that the deputy president is more or less like a spare wheel.
Yes.
And this now, we're seeing the role, you're saying that it doesn't look good for him, neither does it look good for the country. Where is the balance between him listening to the president as the presidency, as the all-powerful man, and him just being there waiting for something to happen?
Now it's clear. Now it's it. Why do you think the framers of the constitution, and not just our constitution, never gave responsibility to the deputy president? And here is Ruto trying to demarcate government, give something to Mudavadi, give something to Ruto. To who? Gachagua. No, the constitution does not give any specific duties to the deputy president for good reason. The heir apparent cannot have any responsibility. He is not part of the throne. You go golfing and doing philanthropy, usikie mama amekufa, you become king. Hapana mama anakugawia madaraka kidogo hapa kama Prince Charles. No. So the deputy president is the principal assistant to the president. There can be no way the president can say, now some of my responsibilities will be undertaken by Mudavadi and some by Gachagua. It is Gachagua who deputizes you and your principal assistant in all matters. All matters. There can never be some matters you can give somebody else.
It's not all.
All of them. The cabinet serves the president and the deputy president.
And the deputy is the assistant too.
Yeah. And so this is not what situation Ruto is creating.
Is this a scheme for the...
And the lawyers in this country are just quiet. They're just quiet. Professors of law, they are just quiet. Constitutional lawyers in this country, they're just quiet. Civil society is just quiet. As a country is creating a monster. And one day there will be a stalemate in this country that will destroy the country. Will create a constitutional crisis. The country will come at a standstill one point and we will all regret.
Here is analyst Alexander Nyambuga was reading the Star. He gave them an opinion. The president is being strategic and sending a message that he cannot be held at ransom by Mount Kenya. And in this case, and in case they dump him, he has an option in Western Kenya. And this is Musalia Mudavadi saying that Ruto is probably scheming to turn tables on opposition chief Raila Odinga in the West, so that if Gachagua thinks he can take on Ruto, or he holds him at ransom, he still has Mudavadi and he can get the West.
In a video we did with you, I said this: the president is safe. The president is secure. Americans say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The president is trying to fix that which is not broken, and he will pay for it. Exactly what you are saying. By doing this kind of things, you are creating tension within Mount Kenya. You are causing people to begin speaking. And you are creating unnecessary ambition among the Luya through Mudavadi. You are creating unnecessary expectations from the Luyas, and people are whispering that Mudavadi will be the running mate in 2027.
Yeah.
It's not necessary, because the president is secure. Those listening to me must tell Ruto, he's secure. He's safe. No, he's unassailable. Nobody can challenge him for now. Why is he fixing something which is not broken? And he's creating the talk and the whispers around Mount Kenya. And if Gachagua doesn't take him on in 2027, the Kikuyu will have a candidate who will take him on. He will lose the Kikuyu constituency. It's unnecessary. You should have figured out how to give Mudavadi power without appearing to create conflict between Gachagua and Mudavadi. That may not be the case, but from a constitutional point of view, yes.
Perception too.
But perception is worse. Perception is king. The perception is he's elevating Mudavadi at the expense of Rigathi Gachagua, and that's not good for him. He's making the Kikuyu get disgruntled. He's creating unnecessary expectation among the Western people. Somebody will play. You know, I have read enough history, like I keep telling you. This is how the history may become very interesting when the history of this country is written 50, 30 years from now.
Yeah.
How, because of that situation, people will begin to approach Gachagua. Even from among the Luo and the Luya, to try and approach him. How people may now approach Mudavadi to try and work him into believing he can be the successor to Ruto. You know, and play them against each other, and create an unnecessary fear and ambition and tension that may not be in the interest of William Samoei Arap Ruto. He should listen to Manyora. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Still, we do talk again. Thank you so much for listening to this conversation. Prof is saying regarding Gachagua, our deputy president, have a conversation with the president so that things don't look this awkward. Till we do talk again, have yourself a lovely rest of your day.